And if you want to just give everyone like a brief background on yourself, your company, when you started, and take it from there.
Yeah. Yeah. We've had a couple cleaning companies that we have sold in the past for, enough for a new car when I was young and in high school and stuff. And that was a cool thing to do. But we've had Integrity Cleaning in Vancouver, Washington for 6 or 7 years. And we slowly grew to the highest rated carpet cleaning company in the area. And we started charging a little bit different flat rate, higher dollar amount. And we have since automated that business, moved to Texas, and we have a new company that helps home service companies called Booking Buddy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I definitely would like to get into that in a little bit. But yeah, what made you want to start a carpet cleaning business? Because traditionally, I feel like it's funny when it comes to like house cleaning or commercial cleaning, you're seeing a lot more younger people in the space opening up companies. But
Yeah.
what I've noticed with carpet cleaning is like a lot of the reputable companies out there are typically older folks, and you could tell sometimes just by
Yeah.
their website, like their website's
Yeah.
like 30 years old, and you're like, okay. But
Never been updated.
yeah, I don't know what it is about carpet cleaning,
Yeah.
but yeah, did you start off as like as a technician, so to speak, like, you were a one-man show doing the carpet cleaning yourself, or did you start from building a team like from day one?
Um, so kind of different. So all the previous cleaning companies I've had were janitorial, in which case I hired friends and unfortunately family a couple times. It didn't work out. And other people we'd interviewed and whatnot. And generally I was like the floater if someone was sick or whatnot. But we started out doing janitorial for this company. And we really I wanted to make sure that I could, if there was any kind of staffing emergency, it could be solved. So our first cleaning company, we had maybe 60, 65 janitorial accounts, but we specified in weekend only cleaning. So our ideal was a higher end office that was Monday through Friday
Mhm.
that just wanted one cleaning, a week. So we could basically show up at 5:30 p.m. Friday up to 7 a.m. Monday morning. So that way, if there was a staffing issue, someone could cover that. And it wasn't like you have to be there right now. They had a pretty big window to do it. And we actually had one company in Portland that was using us for a few years, and they were extremely high end. They actually did branding. They're like my favorite company. It's called Fine Design. But they did branding and marketing for like $80,000 bottle of wines or $200,000 chairs. And so they have this big area, where it was like almost like your get a vision section where they'd have this item like in the center of all the office, and people would just kind of like sit on the chair, look at it, get a feel for it. And they'd spent a year putting like a branding design for this. Anyway, naturally, all of their stuff was very expensive, including some rugs. And they had asked us to clean some rugs, and we said, "Oh yeah, we can do it, but we don't normally do it. So it's pretty expensive. It'd be like $400 or $500 for each one." Hoping that kind of they would just say no because I didn't know how to do it. And they were like, okay, well, can you just do that once a month for us then? Yeah. So we kind of learned, and we didn't really know what we were doing for charging and whatnot, but we ended up figuring out that you can make a lot more money per hour, per employee when you do carpet and rugs. And even now, we average around 200, 180 to 200. And it's great because the overhead is not as high as it is for some people.
Mm.
They can kind of choose the method of cleaning, steam cleaning or encapsulation. But after having employees, it was pretty hard to do any of the physical labor yourself when you realize that that's an option.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on that point too, when you said you don't really know what to charge, I mean, this is something that's like every owner goes through, is trying to figure
Yeah.
out what's an acceptable rate. Am I charging enough? Um,
Right.
how to bring on staff. And so how did you figure that out? Was that just through trial and error?
Yeah. So I listened to everything, all these groups said from the people that have been cleaning for 700 years that don't necessarily always give the best advice. And, they said, okay, well, charge to vacuum, charge to pre-spray, charge to do pet treatment, charge for all that. And I hated that because, people would book you for 3 rooms for $150. And then you get there and like, it could easily be like $500 because they didn't vacuum. They want you to move the furniture. So we flat rated everything. So when we initially did it, people were charging like in my area still like 20 to $40 an area. And we went flat rate $100 an area because we were like, okay, well, what if this thing is covered in urine? Like, it's going to cost a lot of chemical. It's going to take a lot of time. And what happened was we definitely booked less jobs, but the jobs we did book were like perfectly brand new carpet. Like they preferred to pay more because they didn't want like a crazy person or a weekend warrior in their house. So not only were we making more money, we were like in and out of these houses like half the time it normally takes. And then we ended up transitioning to just a per job thing. So now we've changed numbers a few times, but right now it's $400 to schedule a carpet cleaning. And then if you want us to do 1 room or 10, it's just $400 every time. You got 4 time slots a day. There's a certain amount we got to make, so we just make it easy on them. And that way we're not doing a lot of like $100 minimum jobs, because with employees, if you break that down, that's really not that profitable. And that also helped with our like recurring revenue method as well. But before we dive into that, the big thing about carpet cleaning, are you guys, is it mostly house cleaning people in this group, or is it carpet too?
Yeah, so we have a couple carpet cleaners in this group. I would say it's primarily either house cleaning or janitorial, but there might be
Okay.
some people who are, considering starting carpet cleaning services too. So
Okay. Yeah, well, I would advise them to say, everyone says you have to do steam cleaning. You need a big truck mount. You need to buy all the chemicals from the name brand stores, things like that. And we used to spend doing the same revenue. We used to spend $3,000-4,000 a month in chemicals. A truck mount using 2.5 gallons an hour of gas. Now, over the last year and a half, we did low moisture cleaning. So we have one machine called a Trinity that's $2,000 or something, and it will easily make us $3 or $4 million before we have to replace it in revenue. And our chemical cost is from NCAP store, Damon's company, and we're spending like $40 a month, and customers are just happy. So just as happy. So if anyone wants to dive into that, don't be fooled by the $200 bottle of chemicals that everyone says is a game changer, because it's not usually a game changer.
okay,
Yeah.
cool, helpful, good to know for sure.
Yeah.
So taking a step back to what you said about upping your rates, and just where you are in terms of, let's say, some of the other carpet cleaners in your area.
Yeah.
Where would you say you're more so on the higher end of price, kind of in the
Yeah.
middle, or okay, so somewhat on the higher end?
Well, that's where it gets tricky, because technically our minimum is like at least twice as high, 2.5 times as high as everyone else, because it's the same price, $400 every job. But if you think that it's flat rate, so there's no extra charge for vacuuming, which our guy does twice before and after a cleaning. There's no charge for pet treatment, and we can't promise that it comes out, but it's all treated. We don't move furniture, but like basically there's no reason that $400 could ever go up. So when people say something like, "Oh, Stanley Steamer quoted me $99," it's such an easy conversation to have. "Oh, I'm so sorry. We should have explained this a little better." Or flat rate, there's no reason the cost could go up. So we're the only company that doesn't charge extra for vacuuming, pet treatment, deep scrubbing. If we need to go over it 3 or 4 times, there's no extra charge for any of that. Just give them a call and ask them if there's a reason that the price could go up. And so they'll call because they think we're outrageous, and then they call, and no one will give them a straight number at all. So they're terrified that it could be $900. So if you do the math and say it's flat rate, technically if someone had 10 rooms of carpet and there was, needed vacuuming, we're actually the way cheaper option. But the method we use is so flat, like lightning fast. And you can play that average game really well. If $400 is every job, you don't have to charge $900 for those jobs once a month because you're still going to have a higher average ticket. So it's kind of like a pretty nice deal. So on the outside, we charge way more than everyone else. But if a customer can talk to us or see the value we bring in it, and they're not just glancing over in a hot second, we're like by far the best deal.
Right. So if I'm understanding correctly, these people are technically getting a bigger bang for their buck once
Yeah.
they hire you, because you have this number that looks kind of scary, a lot more than what most people are charging up front. But if they're
Yeah.
actually going to use you for your service, and I guess take advantage, I don't know if that's the right word, but they're getting a better value for what you're charging.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could consider it almost similar to like Costco. It's just you're kind of buying in bulk. It's more expensive for a cleaning, but this makes our memberships easy. And I'm sure it's similar in janitorial as well. But in carpet cleaning, some of these groups, these guys will say like went in for $100, like came out with 625. And the problem with that is if someone thought they were going to pay $100 and then, you got that 625, but that person is never going to use you again, because now, I mean, that's like the most kind of outlandish thing. If you think about it, people don't really know, then that's a trust symbol that was broken essentially. So while they might occasionally get those big upsells there, the average repeat rate for home service industry is 19%. And we haven't been under 80 in like 2.5 years, partially because of the membership, partially because we're upfront with it. But usually we sit in the 85 to 90 range. I mean, every month, which is like fantastic, because then you're out of the rat race. You don't have to compete to get many new customers through advertising, because you don't need very much to fill the schedule because your existing base is so good.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's fascinating. Because upselling, like that's pretty much most carpet cleaners' bread and butter, right? Is promoting a lower entry level offer, and then coming into the home and typically walking out with double, triple, sometimes quadruple of what they priced.
Yeah.
And I think what you're saying is that even though some customers might agree to that and you might walk away with more money, the chances that they're going to hire you again are a lot lower, because
Super low. Yeah.
So out of curiosity, we'll talk a little bit more, I think later in this call, about like maybe some specific, marketing strategies or channels that you guys have focused on. But before we do
That's my
that,
jam.
just in the terms of, upselling, was that originally your strategy? Did you used to kind of do that low entry level upsell offer, or
Yeah, I mean, that lasted like probably 2 months before I realized that was like not the way that we were going to succeed. I did do it. I did what everyone told me to, charge $20 more if you got to vacuum a house, charge $5 a room for, pieces of furniture you move. Like it's the weirdest thing too. It's like, if you think about it from someone not in the industry, like the most common thing for like pet urine treatment is to charge like $20 to $45 per like 2 square feet of pet urine with like this tool. Like, what does that mean to a customer? Like, they don't know if it's like $2,000 or like $30. Like, it's so
Right.
weird, like the way we come up with this, because we're like, well, I'm using X amount of chemical, but like, think about the person you're selling to. Like, that doesn't make any sense to them.
Right. Yeah, it is a little arbitrary, even with
Yeah,
a lot of house cleaning and janitorial stuff. But yeah,
true. I guess with any industry, there's something like that.
yeah. Well, let's move into a little bit about the subscription service, because this is something that I think is a game changer for anyone who's doing carpet
Me
cleaning,
too.
because as most people know, like the recurring, that's the one thing about carpet cleaning that tends to lack in people's businesses, is the recurring. People
Yeah.
might service once, maybe twice or 3 times, and then that's it. You, on the other hand, so you've cracked the code on getting your customers to use your service quite frequently. And I'd love to kind of go into what maybe some of your highest frequency customers look like. Like, is that
Yeah.
once a month, once every other week, what that looks like? But how did you, what was kind of the start of implementing the system, and how did you come up with this idea?
Yeah. Well, being in janitorial first, I knew I was getting, I mean, not paid once a week, but we're doing service once a week. And then, man, you think, oh, I can make so much more per hour if I hired people for carpet cleaning. It's like, whatever, 3, 4 times the hourly. Um, but then you don't see them for like potentially like 5 more years. Like, so there was a couple ways we had to do it. One, we had to incentivize a more frequent clean, which
Mhm.
meant it had to be like a fairly good deal. And there is like a version of membership that John Don Steve Toburian, I think is his last name. I can never say it right, but he's a nice guy. I've met him. I took his class, and they have a program called the Stay Beautiful Club, which I tried, and it might work for some, but it did not work for me. It's basically like, let's say the clean was X amount of dollars. Well, you would divide that up into 12 monthly payments, and then every either 6 months or every year you'd go and clean, and it was like essentially they were mailing you checks for this amount.
Mhm.
Um, the problem was, if they're paying like 30 or 40 bucks a month, people don't need service exactly 6 months or 1 year apart. So you'd have someone that, their kid spilled spaghetti on the floor like 3 weeks after you just cleaned it. Well, if they've made a $40 payment, are you just supposed to like reset that and then take a loss to go somewhere for 40 bucks? Do you charge them now like a $200 minimum? Like, it really breaks that chain a lot. So we switched to kind of like a gym membership. You can come as often as you want. You can have us there unlimited times. You can never show up. And it's $10 a month, and they get half off. And originally we were charging $100 an area. Not originally, 2, 3 years ago. And then so they were getting it for $50 an area, and $50 an area was significantly more than what everyone else was paying, like just without a membership. It was
Mm.
still potentially double. And we had a lot of members. When we switched to low moisture cleaning, our costs dropped dramatically. And we pay our full-time guy $27 an hour with, unlimited time off and tips and commission on top of that. And switching from low moisture or from steam cleaning, like what everyone does, to low moisture was enough savings to completely pay his salary, like almost exactly. So we were able to drop our prices even more to make this a bigger incentive. So the way it works, that's like so amazing, is people pay $10 a month to get half off. We offer this in the house, so someone expects to pay us 400, and we have kind of a rule which I'll explain on how to sell it. But um, essentially, it's just like Costco, because they got to pay whatever, $200 a year, $150 a year. I don't know what a Costco membership is anymore, but um, then naturally they go there all the time. Like, they need a gallon of milk, they're going to leave with 8 gallons of milk, because they're like, oh, I get my money back. I get my money's worth. I get my 2% or whatever. So they're going way more frequently than they ever would before. So we have a lot of members that will, so essentially it's only $200. So in theory, if someone has 7,000 square feet of carpet, we wouldn't take a loss, but we certainly wouldn't make any money on that day. We might take a small loss, which we do have a couple members that are around that, but um, we don't really take losses or anything like that. But what we do is we just tell people, hey, schedule whenever you need it, use it as frequently as you want. So we have some members that have us do their stairs and living room like every 5 weeks. And $200 for 2 areas is quite a bit on top of $120 a year. And the other thing that does is it's like crazy how many problems this solves. One of them is the referral rate. So I'm going to butcher these numbers because I haven't looked at them in probably like 6 months, but the average referral that we got from a regular customer was like 0.25 a year. And that doesn't mean they hired us, but it meant like every 4 years, someone that wasn't a member would refer us someone that would talk to us, or look at our pricing. But it's like 1.5 people a year for a member. So now our marketing budget is lower. We're more profitable on them because we don't have any marketing dollars tied to them. They tip our full-time guy all the time because we have one full-time guy that serves, like, a serious relationship with him. He's basically the owner operator to this business. So his tips are outrageously good. People do it all the time because they want to get their money's worth for that $10 a month plan. And then what's the opposite of that? Let's say they use us every 3 years. Well, then that means we got paid, $10 a month for 3 years plus that $200. It's like if they use us every day, great, because we're going to be there hardly at all cleaning because we were just there yesterday, so it's not very dirty. If we're there every 2 years, also great. Like there's more money to be made in the meantime. And we do a savings guarantee. So like, let's say they don't use us for a decade and they want to cancel service, or they email us and say, hey, I want to check on my savings guarantee. We can say, okay, well, you used us twice in the last 4 years. This is what you would have paid on, not a membership. This is what you paid with membership. And if they didn't save any money, we'll send them a check for the difference. And that's happened like 2 or 3 times. And people usually keep the membership just because it's less upfront money for them. But the way we sell this is like kind of a dream, because our full-time guy is all by himself 2,500 miles away. And so if he doesn't like a customer, or a customer doesn't like him, why would we go there? So we have A, B, or C customers. An A customer is, we love them and they love us. They're a dream. We look forward to showing up. They're giving him LaCroix or coffee when he's there, whatever. A customer, that person, you can offer the discount immediately. If they're planning on paying you $400 and they got a pre-written out check, you want to show up to these people more often. This is the kind of route you want to set up for yourself. Great people. So he'll say, if you want to join this plan, we've got a little, cutout that we give to them on like thick moo, paper. And then we can give them a discount. So how happy are they when the upsell is to pay 50% less? It's a pretty good upsell.
Yeah.
A B customer is one or the other. Either we love them and they love us and their carpets are kind of rough, or their carpets are in great shape, but they can't be mean, but like maybe they weren't home, so we didn't like get to know them, or they're working. That person we can offer the membership to as a future plan. So they can pay $400 and then start the $10 a month thing now, so that their next one is, discounted. And essentially the way we justify that is there is marketing costs, because you're not a member already. We had to pay to ads to get to you, yada, yada, which we don't have to explain to them. And a C customer is, we're not very fond of them. They're not very fond of us. Their carpets are gross. What membership? It's full. We don't have one, whatever. So now our full-time employee basically gets to long-term decide how happy he is with all of his customers, which is great for retention for him. It's great for our customer retention. And it lets him feel like he's really in the driver's seat with the people he gets to serve every day.
Wow, that's fascinating. So just to make sure I have the numbers understood correctly. So if someone is going to do a membership with you, you're kind of following the Costco model where they pay it's a $400 fee one time. Is that like once per year?
So it's $10 a month, and then they get half off of the $400 price, which is $200 per service.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But if they're like, maybe the place is a wreck or something like that, we don't make the offer at the 50% discount when we show up, unless they're like the perfect customer. We'll say, hey, this is the ongoing maintenance program after you've done the service. But generally the people we get, because a lot of them are referrals from members, are the perfect customer. So we can pretty much offer everyone the discount right away for the most part.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So now, if someone is considering doing something like this, there's 2 main questions that I have for you. And I'm sure maybe some customers or friends of yours ask this. One, does it ever get confusing if someone's on your website and or maybe they just heard from a referral about this plan you have, this subscription, $10, and they're like, wait, it's half off of a $400 service, but what if I only need like a small spot? Am I still get charged $400 or $200 for that matter? So I'll ask that first. What's the ease of selling the service in your experience?
In-house, it's like everyone says yes, but we don't offer it quite to everyone. So, if they've heard about it, they can totally sign up as long as they're not like terrible people. But we don't offer it to everyone specifically, but we do tell people pretty clearly. We tell them like, to pay all of our bills, like we got to average like at least $800 a day. So what we did is we separated all these appointments into this value, which is a lot more than 800, but just we say that number because that is kind of our cost for everything with my salary and his and everything. But we tell people this is what we got to make. So rather than nickel and diming everyone for every square inch of carpet in their house, we just said you can get unlimited of everything for this price. So when you sign up for the membership, just know we have an integrity cleaning app you can download on your phone. If you get a spot, you can type in red wine or whatever, and it will show you how to remove the stain with what you already have in your house. Outside of that, every appointment is going to be $200 as a member. So if you'd like us to do one room, we can totally do that. We have tons of members that do that. If you'd like us to do 500 rooms, it's also included. However amount you want us to do in your house is totally fine. And most of our customers are not like crazy high end. We have like, a few customers with like $10 million plus homes, but most of them are 2,300 square feet, 700 of which is hardwood or more, so it's really not that crazy. I think Jonathan, usually he's at an appointment of like an hour and 10 minutes, pretty much every appointment, whether it's a $400 or a $200 member, it's like every time, the rest is drive time. So it's easy to sell in the sense we just got to be honest with them. Like, driving there, tearing down, setting up will take us longer than the actual cleaning. So if you do have a spot, our team can walk you through it over the phone if you need something, or just wait until there's a couple of the other areas you'd like to do and we'll get it taken care of. But I think just being really straightforward with them, they know we can't, not that we don't tell them this. They know that, our employees don't make $2 an hour, it's $27 an hour is expensive. So they know it costs a lot to go out and we can't go out for a small amount. So occasionally there's someone that says, well, I just have one room that isn't a member for 400. And that's fine. I don't want to say we have enough customers where we don't have to worry about closing that one roomer for 400, but there's other people out there that have different business models that will come out and do one room for $80. We're not a perfect fit for everyone, but we are a really perfect good fit for a specific group of people, homeowners that want to maintain their home long-term, not movers in and out, not apartments. And we fit that mold perfectly.
That makes sense. Yeah, and you said so this subscription model you don't offer to everybody, this membership.
No, we have some hoarder houses that we've cleaned, and I don't want Jonathan showing up there every 3 weeks because it's covered in cat turds.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I think I saw on your site that you are pretty transparent about offering your unlimited carpet cleaning service, just not not specific about the prices. Is that correct? Or
so on our online booking, it says unlimited carpet cleaning for 400. And the way we do the membership part of it is, I think it does mention on our website, the membership, and it's more meant to get them to ask questions about it at the time.
right.
And if someone truly is a terrible customer, we can create a wait list, and which we did for a long time. We made people sit on it for 3 or 4 months and then said, hey, there's a new slot open. Would you like to take it? And that massively created people that were going to stick around. If they said no, because we were just there, then they weren't going to keep it long-term anyway. If they said yes, then that was perfect. But we tell members, every member, it's been 3 years, something like that, about the membership, probably longer than that. And we just tell people this is a true pilot program, beta test. We don't know if this is profitable. So it's kind of a secret. So when you go to book online, whatever the price is that you see, which can change, you're going to get 50% off on that, but we won't show the membership pricing on there because it's just a test program. And people feel like it's like an exclusive club. They really like it when you say it that way, because you get to experiment with them and they feel like a part of it,
That's awesome. No, I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
and actually I will say one more thing. When we first started this, it was like summer, and I hated giving half off in the summer when we were packed. And then our first winter at doing this program, it was dead. It was dead. We had at the time, 30 people paying us $10 a month. It's kind of nice to get a $10 drip every day, it just hitting your bank account. But also, we tell our members that we're slower in the winter. That's the time to book. And like that first winter that we did this, that was the only thing that kept me alive. So
Mm.
what we did is when we were busier, the following summer, we emailed our customers and said, anyone who wants to join the membership, your first whole house clean is 100% free. And we did that for 50 people. And I had an employee at the time. So that like financially hurt. It wasn't like I was like using my time and gas. It was like someone was getting paid to do no revenue. And we did that for 50 members, like at least 3 years ago. And we saw 47 of them. I checked like 2 weeks ago. So we've lost three, two to a move, one because Lord knows, I don't know, they didn't say. But I would suggest if anyone has the cash flow to do it, we got 50 members in like 4.5 weeks, 5 weeks, along with our normal busy schedule. And it was like, boom, $500 recurring. And then each customer on average uses us 3 times a year. So it's, $500 a month recurring. Everyone's paying you 120 a year plus, 600 and plus tips for your employee or for you if you do it. But all of a sudden my recurring revenue on a yearly basis went up. They just skyrocketed. And it was completely worth the cost of paying an employee to do that. And when people ask me if I started all over, what would you do? I would be membership only. And I would give everyone a free clean until we hit like 200 members. And then at that point, you're, $500,000-$600,000 a year. All you need to do is cash flow like maybe 5 months, which is a lot. It's not a small amount, but then you'd be set. You could automate it. You could do everything, and you skip 3 years of growth, 4 years of growth or more.
Right. So I wanted to just bank on that for a second, because a lot of people might be terrified of that idea of
It is scary.
giving away their service for free and actually coming out of pocket if they have employees and their overhead,
Yeah.
which is understandable. But the way I see it is, if you're going to be spending that money on advertising to get new clients anyway, it's going to be, the ROI is going to be better with what you're suggesting, because as you know, and as anyone who's been running their business properly will know, that selling to people that have already used your service at least once in the past are much easier than converting a cold prospect. So
way
and
easier.
This is why I always tell people, like, hey, even if you don't have a fancy CRM, totally fine, but you should at least hold on to the name, email, phone number of everyone you do business with. Whether that's in an Excel chart, if you're old school, it could be on a piece of paper, but you need to hold on to their contact information, because just speaking to them, once you do service with them at least once, they're significantly easier to convert.
It's true. And we do a lot of campaigns for that throughout the year. And that's actually what prompted our new company, Booking Buddy, which uses Chirp to have live receptionists answering questions on the website via text, following up, doing outbound and inbound campaigns. And it's crazy affordable, but now you get to touch people an insane amount of times for like so cheap. It's fantastic. And that's really a huge reason we were able to automate this business, is things like that.
Awesome. So I definitely want to talk about that in a bit. One more.
Yeah, we can don't skip.
One more quick question about the subscription. So let's say someone's about to implement this in their business. Do you need to create, and they're like, okay, how do I set this up properly? Is there like a contract involved with your clients? Do you have like a minimum time frame that they need to commit to? What if someone wants to cancel? What does that look like?
So we used to do a contract, not contract, but now it's like so easy to identify the type of person that you're talking to. When he sells it in the house. So we used to do something where it was basically like, it's no contract, but if you cancel before your total billing amount was the regular price, which is really complicated to say to people, but like, let's say it was, $400 for the cleaning, and they sign up and they do $200. Well, in total, until they're like, total amount they've paid us one way or another is $400. If they cancel, they would owe the difference. So like, if they paid 1 month and then the $200 and it should have been $400, they owe us the difference in that. But if they pay the $10 a month forever and it's 400, no contract, or if they use us twice, and then have one or two $10 a month, they're like in the clear. But that was highly confusing and did not last long. So what we ended up doing is saying there's no cancellation fee. You can cancel anytime you want. But if you do cancel, you can never get it back. Because basically a huge part of our profit margin is that $120 a year, that bonus, that no work attached to it monthly billing. So what would happen is people would say, I don't think I'm using enough, I want to cancel. And you could send them say, oh, no problem, you totally cancel. Here's what you've saved so far. I can cancel this right now. You just got to know we can't get it back, because that's basically we're delaying our profit by cutting this bill in half for you. And we're still profitable at 200, just not as much as 400. Do you want to cancel? And they'd be like, oh, no, I don't want to cancel. Like, we probably get like one or two of those a month that don't cancel, that say, they want to. They're like, oh, I've actually saved, huge amount of money. It's just when people see a recurring charge and they don't get service from it for a few months, it's a little bit more difficult, which is why we incentivize people. We're like, hey, have us come every month, have us come every 2 months, to try and get us out there as often as possible.
And I wanted to get your opinion on something like that. It's because typically when people think about carpet cleaning, it's usually like a last minute or emergency service, as I like to call it, where like their pet had an accident on the floor. Maybe there's like some water damage or something. But what you said, hey, we recommend you use our service like at least once every month or once every 2 months to make sure they're, taking advantage of what they have offered to them. Have you ever considered putting more frequently needed services, like something like house cleaning or anything like that?
We used to do a lot of services. We did tile, carpet, upholstery, wood, laminate, rugs, and we did windows for a while and air duct cleaning for a while. But the thing is, the margin was just so good, and there was just so many wonderful customers to grab where we didn't need to be there as frequently, that we just do carpet now. It's just easy, just for the sake of, we have one employee. And this is the other thing too, like, people will say like, oh my gosh, no one can clean 1,500 square feet an hour. That's insane. And the reason that they say that is because someone's got a truck mount and low moisture cleaning. They got 70 different chemicals in the truck. They don't know if they're pulling hoses out or vacuuming or not, or using a CRB. They got 100 tools in their list. So the employee like gets to decide which one, maybe use one and then use the other. We have one tool, one chemical, one vacuum. So naturally he can do it blindfolded, because he does that exact thing with zero variation 4 times a day, 4 days a week. So because we niche down so much, our profit is better than most doing the exact same thing if there was someone doing apples to apples, because it's the only thing we do. If we did bring out another service, which we won't because I moved to Texas and it's just really easy and automated now, we would have one person in a different truck doing that one thing and nothing else, just to make sure that we had the same exact thing we had with the carpet, just someone else doing basically their one niche thing, and that's it. It's kind of like if you're like you ever put something together from IKEA and you're like, oh, okay, I put these 4 screws in and there's like 80 more shelves of the exact same thing. And those first 2 took an embarrassingly long time. The next 40 shelves, you're just doing with your eyes closed in 15 seconds, is the only thing you do, no distractions.
No,
that's kind of what we were shooting for.
I feel like it kind of helps from a marketing standpoint too. If you have, let's say you had 2 technicians and it's like, hey, this person's only for hardwood floor and this person's only for carpet. And we're going to send
experts.
2 experts. Exactly.
Yep.
Okay.
Totally.
Awesome. So, man, a lot of really good stuff here. What I want
I've got as much time as you do, by the way, so I'm not out of time.
I appreciate it. I was planning on keeping this probably within an hour. I think we have like about 20 minutes left. Probably going to do a little open Q&A at the end, but what was I going to say? Okay, so to move a little bit more into the marketing aspect, kind of how you got your first handful of clients to where you're at right now. Which if you're comfortable sharing the numbers in
Yeah.
terms of how many clients you've serviced up until this point, I would love to, hear that.
Yeah.
But yeah, walk me through that growth period.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, day one, this is actually what should have been my trigger when I was charging nothing when we first started. I went from working at Fisher Investments doing high net worth sales. So my job was literally to get the minimum for them to manage money was $500,000. My job was to get someone to do that over the phone to an account they didn't have access to. Very hard, high paying sales job. Um, Hated it no matter how much money you made. But anyway, I went from making like a lot of money doing that to charging 129 for any size house and driving like 75 miles to do so. Like, I don't know what was going through my head, but it just didn't click. I don't know. So I did things like Thumbtack, and I never did like Craigslist, but like Home Advisory, and all the things that people really shouldn't use that compare you in the wrong ways to other companies.
Mm-hmm.
Then we focus on Google Ads, and it works very, very well. We only spend a couple $100 max a month because we only need one customer a week new now, maybe two, with some fluctuation during high time and low time in the year. And it does work well, but it is a $400 minimum is your customer acquisition cost goes up a lot if there's no lower offer. But I don't know exactly how many customers we've served because we churn them. So we use House Call Pro, and I'll go through my entire list. And because we use Booking Buddy for our text campaigns and Sunshine Admin for our phone calls and whatnot, we have like a pretty detailed history of every time we try to reach out to them via email or call or text or snail mail, all of that. And so if someone hasn't used us in 3 years, they're kind of dead to us. And I know the average person that uses a carpet cleaning company is like around that or longer. 3 years and they're out. We deleted from the CRM because that means at 3 years we've offered them the membership 6 to 8 times that they've said no to, or they weren't a good enough customer to offer the membership to. And if they haven't used it in that time, their carpet's going to be filthy. They can definitely hire us again, but we're not going to put any more effort into them. So our base of customers right now is like 800 and something. And I think we have like 128 or 130 members. And then we also this is the one thing that people that can't get the recurring thing down in carpet cleaning do. So they say, oh, we need property management and commercial accounts. Problem with property management is they want you immediately, and they're going to pay you less money, and it's going to be more difficult jobs. And commercial is nights and weekends. And our employee works 4 days a week and has permanent 3-day weekends and loves it. So that's not going to work. So we created a membership for churches. So we have 9 churches that pay us monthly, and churches are busy on the weekend. So we come and clean on Tuesdays and Wednesdays every other month for 9 churches. And that was like our route to commercial, but they're all recurring. None of them are one time. We don't do that for commercial. They got to pay us monthly. So, and that's how they get the best deal. But yeah, it's probably like 800, maybe 900 in our base right now. But again, we churn them and we go through them, and they all get many, many touches every year. And they're not all sales touches. Like our email campaigns are things like how to remove a Coke stain or whatever, or it's something we give away. Like none of our emails, zero call to action on sales, 0 specials. At the corner of every email on the bottom, it says book now if you need a service, and it goes to our online booking. But we have an email sequence, I think it's every 12 days that sends to them, and it's only helpful information. And it's evergreen content. So there's about 20 emails there that are on repeat. And we never have to edit them. We paid a designer to make them beautiful and a copywriter to make them really lovely. I just kind of spit my ideas out, and that's very cheap if anyone wants to do that. I mean, under $1,000, and you can get 15, 20 emails that are evergreen content done, that are prettier than any owner operator could make, that aren't intrusive. And there's nothing wrong with sales emails. Sales emails are fantastic. It's just our sales pitch is the membership. That's the only sales email there is, and our only goal, which is why we do that evergreen content style for our email marketing.
So when you say like 15 to 20 value-based emails that are just on repeat, are you saying that same customer will see the cycle of those same emails just on a yearly basis, or
Yes. Well, it's basically from the date they schedule, unless they're already in the sequence. If
uh-huh.
someone books an appointment online or through our team, when their email hits House Call Pro, it sends it to MailerLite and then it adds them to the sequence. But actually, let me look here. It's every 14 days. So, and I have 21 emails. So 14 times 21, almost 300 days. They don't remember that first email. That email where you told them how to remove a coffee stain off of their carpet. They don't know, and they've already spilled another coffee stain by them. It's if you can't put repeat every 12 or 13 days and only have 5 emails, but
Right,
20, and our open rate is really good. Unsubscribe is under 1%. It's close to 1%, but our open rate as of right now is 62.5, 62.45. But again, there's lots of unsubscribes in the beginning. But the people that want the helpful information that know they're not being sold every 14 days like the helpful information.
right. Cool. Okay. So that's very interesting. And so to take a step back with the commercial side of things, by the way, fascinating idea with the churches, they're busy on the weekends, so let's clean on the weekdays.
Yeah, like where
Now,
could you clean during the week? Commercial, not a lot of places.
right, right. So for that, I'm curious, are you, selling your service kind of similarly for residential where, they have an incentive to basically get half off if they or enter your membership? Because with commercial, that's typically done on a recurring basis anyway. So I'm just wondering how you kind of, sell that
Yeah,
service.
we do give them a one-time price, so technically they can do one time for commercial. But I don't want to say it's like outrageous, but we do not want a one-time customer. It's kind of like, if let's say you were like retired or just had like a ton of time to kill and your neighbor's replacing their roof and they're like, I'll give you $500 today to help me, replace this roof. It's 120 degrees out. It's not like $500 wasn't worth the money, but you're like, if I'm gonna do this one-time gig, like I want to make a lot of money. It's like not worth the 500 for that. So we just tell people that, you haven't cleaned this in a long time. It's going to take us a long time to clean. It's going to be a lot more work, a lot more chemical, whatever. You can phrase it however you want. It might be like, for example, one of the churches, they give us $950 a month for by monthly service. And it's like a pretty large church. And, the one-time cost to clean each of these areas, because it's split up, it's not the whole church. It's a massive church. Basically the whole year, they all get touched in sections. I mean, it was like $3,600 versus 925, 950 times two. And they did the $3,600 like every 2 or 3 months for like a year before they said, fine, we'll sign up for the membership because it's cheaper. But it wasn't worth it for us either because we didn't know, like, well, is it going to be that $3,600 in
Mm,
2.5 years? We gave them the price, like it could be thrashed. Obviously, we could change that price, but it's difficult to get account, even if it's one time, if they think your price is going to jack up every single time. So, we've had it for 950. They know it's going to go up a little bit every year, and it does. Like really small. Like I think it only went up $20 a month this year. But now we know that it's getting touched really frequently, so it doesn't take as long to clean. You get keys to the building. He can go in at his leisure. It's just so much easier that way, and they realize that. When we're maintaining it, it's totally different from restoring it. So
for
that's how
sure.
they sign up for that.
Right. So speaking of that point, this is something I think that would help a lot of house cleaning companies, janitorial services too, is like you said, increasing your rates every year just to adjust for inflation and cost of living and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah,
what does how do you usually go about that? Are you telling these people in person, hey, we're raising our rates, or do you send like an email out to everyone, or maybe a combination of those two? And what's the response?
we don't, just because we tell people, like, again, like, hey, membership's pilot program. We don't know if it's profitable. We think it is. It looks like it has been. but whatever price you see on the website that will change, you get half off on that. So actually, like 2.5 months ago, it was $600 for the carpet, and now it's 400. We're busier. Ironically, people say raise your prices when you're busier, and I don't disagree with that. But it is funny when you lower your prices when you're slower, because if you have less jobs, you need to make more money on each one of those jobs to stay afloat. So we actually kind of do the opposite. But I think probably once we get moved into our house and buy a rental and things get settled and we're like level headed again, we'll probably go back to the 500 for carpet. And it's possible we could lose some members at that 500 or 600 if they have a couple of rooms and it's $300 plus a $10 monthly fee. And that's okay. And it's not meant to rip people off or price people out of the service. But I mean, think about it. There is a company that will serve all types of people, right? Like there's a reason that I fly economy on Alaska Airlines and I don't rent out, a private plane. There's someone that's willing to pay that, and that's fine. Like we're all going to choose our different levels of what we want to spend. And just because someone says you're too expensive does not mean you're too expensive. It means that they're looking for something else that you aren't providing, and that's okay,
Right. No, I love that way of thinking. There's always I don't know if you have any like referral partnerships with other allies in your area, but
oh yeah.
Yeah, you could, there's always, other people you could refer business to just out of good
Yeah.
faith, and somehow will pay
Yeah.
you back. So
Exactly. Yeah.
cool, man. To move a little bit back more into the marketing side, you had mentioned, you started on these traditional platforms that a lot of people do to get their first handful of clients, like Thumbtack, Home Advisor, then moved to Google Ads, which you said was working, except the cost per acquisition was very high, because you're right. You do have this subscription model, which once someone's in the door, it's a very attractive model, but it's converting these cold leads to use your service. And this is something a lot of people that start advertising their companies for the first time, whether you have a subscription model or not, they often struggle to convert cold leads because they're used to growing their business on referrals and word of mouth. So
Right.
just converting a cold lead in general is going to be way more trickier than most people are used to.
Totally.
But now you're coming in with this offer where it's like, hey, you need a $120 carpet cleaning job. The minimum that will come out to is $400. But if you enter our subscription, ends up being $200 a month. So I think what you're saying is that a lot of people are kind of turned off on that. And the reality is you just have to go through a lot more volume until you actually get someone to agree on that. Is that correct?
Yeah. And that's why the CAC is closer to $100. When we were charging $149, it could have been $20. The difference is we're actually way more profitable at that $100 customer acquisition cost, charging $400 than we are at the $149 and $20 CAC. But there are ways to like make it okay. And like, this is the hard part that home service can't totally do. They can at a smaller scale, but like the software world is crazy. Like I've got a buddy that works for, they do software for, he's a developer. They do software for solar companies to put in calculations, to do financing, like massive company. They do a subscription for each one, and their time to pay that off is like 7 years. Like they take like a 7-year loss on this, and the company is worth like $600 million because they know the value of a lifetime customer. So, we're still profitable. Like if someone signs up for the membership and it's a giant house and we paid $100 for a CAC, we lost a little bit of money, but we didn't, because now they're giving us $120 a year. Then they're giving us $200 times an average of 3 cleans a year. So we're at $720 a year now, plus whatever tips you would get that would make the employee stick around longer,
and more likely to refer.
So now we have 2.5 phone calls from referrals a year instead of 0.25, which again, it's not $100 per phone call, it's per, deal. But members that refer us, like most of them sign up for members more than not. So in theory, we now saved probably another customer acquisition cost, another $100 off of that every single year from them, which is why we're okay to pay, whatever for Google ads. Like we are like fairly busy. We don't have like a lot of open time slots throughout the year besides maybe January and February. But yeah, we don't really care what we pay for the customer acquisition because they're recurring revenue.
Right. Yeah, no, and that's so important to think about lifetime value. A lot of people don't, they're just thinking of that one-time job. And then, so they have
Right.
this arbitrary number in their mind, like, oh, anything above $20 a lead is too expensive. But it's like,
Right.
if they knew that that customer was going to potentially earn their business thousands of dollars over the course of a couple of years,
Yeah,
I think more people would be a little bit more willing to spend more on that acquisition.
exactly.
So let's say, you had to go back. Are you currently running any paid ads for your business at the moment or no?
Um, just through Google, but I think
Google.
we
Okay.
got billed like $160 last month.
Yeah. I
So
mean, to
not a lot, honestly.
to be at the scale you're at, that's chump change too. So it's
Yeah.
fascinating
And we
that.
only have one employee and we're not going to add another. So like there is a limit to how many jobs we can take.
True.
And it's just primed in the perfect range we want it. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
So with your Google ads, because I'm assuming you're promoting this unlimited carpet cleaning service up front, perhaps
Yeah.
that's like your unique selling proposition. So to ensure the highest conversion rates, what are those phone calls typically like? I would assume many of them right off the bat probably hang up because they're just not interested. But how
Yeah.
important is that conversation, and what are you typically saying to them, for especially for the ones that do convert?
Yeah. So we have Sunshine Admin answer all of our phone calls. Yvonne's the owner. She's amazing. And actually she's my partner in Booking Buddy as well.
Mhm.
Um, and we kind of hide the phone number. So none of the ads have the phone number on it. When they click our website, the phone number is not on the website. But when they click book now in the top right corner or in the middle schedule online, that takes them to the House Call Pro link where there is a phone number and it shows our pricing. So by the time they call us, they're essentially doing like a honesty check. What's the cost for this? They saw it. They're like almost trying to check us. Is there a promo I don't know about or something like that? So they
Mm.
already know that that is the cost. But there's a lot of people still that say, I just like literally just spilled whatever in this one area of carpet. And those are typically not going to convert. But the people that see the unlimited carpet cleaning and then call, generally that piques their interest enough to have the conversation. In Sunshine Admin, like we've got an amazing playbook with them, so they know exactly what we do and do not want. So they feel the room before they offer the membership. If someone sounds like just a little off, crazy, or there's 67 dogs barking in the background, they're not going to mention the membership unless the customer does.
Yeah.
But if it's someone that says, hey, I just moved into this house, it's my first house, I'm trying to take care of it, it needs a cleaning, perfect. Something like that. So they try and feel the room a little bit first. But yeah, they offer it on the phone to the right person. But again, even though not everyone's right for the membership, I would do the free 50 or free 100 if I was starting over and could afford it all day long. Because basically what happens is if every like 3 members we take on, this is really rough, but every like 3 members we take on, one will cancel 3 months after their first cleaning and they were just terrible, but you didn't know. Um, one will stick around like a year, still worth it. And then one will never cancel. So you are taking the risk that they're not all going to last. But now we've got 128 something like that members, and like 96% of them are super sticky, not going to change unless we change our price to $1,000 or something.
Right.
So I would
Okay.
still offer that even if there's a risk of like, oh, this might be a bad customer.
Right. So it sounds like it's kind of up to the virtual assistants or you as the owner, if you're answering your own phone calls, to kind of feel them out and
Yeah.
decide if they would be a good fit for this membership program or
Yeah.
not. And I think most people can always just do their fallback, which is maybe that one-time clean and charges
Yeah.
like they would.
Right. Or like with Booking Buddy, we use it as a secondary offer. So we have a team with Booking Buddy that will live text on your website. And versus a live chat, it's actually their phone number. So if they leave the site and you send them pricing and they don't, they're gone, you can still text them. So they'll say, oh, that's out of my price range, or I'll keep looking. Well, what we do is we set up a couple of, depending on what the business owner wants, we set up a couple different follow-up actions. So like for us, we could say, actually, like let's say 2 hours go by and they're like, I'm going to keep looking, it's a little high. We say, oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot to mention, we have a membership where you can get half off for life. Would that be something you want to do? And then it's like, boom, we spent, $70 to acquire this lead, or $50, whatever. If we want them to pay full price, if we don't know them, but we'd rather take them on as a member as nothing at all. So it's that secondary hook that now makes your customer acquisition costs lower. Or some people will, like, we have a couple companies that offer payments. It's like bigger services, like HVAC is one of them. And what they'll say is, if they're giving them a rough quote or something like that, they'll say, oh man, I just don't have that money right now. And they say something like, let me talk to my husband. They can follow up and say, hey, we actually do take payments, but they give it a little bit, 20 minutes, an hour and a half a day, whatever, so that it's a secondary offer. Or like another one that we do that's really popular is we'll have a price, and then the business owner will say, like, I'm willing to do it a little bit less to, make that happen, but not right away. And so, like, let's say the price is $200 or $500 for a service, and they say that's a little high, or I need to wait. Then they can follow up, 4 hours later, and our team will say something like, actually, you know what? We're going to be in Vancouver, Washington, 2 days, all day next week. Since you're in Vancouver, we could take off $50 if you like, because we're already going to be there. And they say, oh, okay. They just want a deal regardless of what it is. And
Right.
that's like massively increase the close rate on these leads that come through, because we get to touch them twice, versus business owners aren't calling back people that called them or texting them back later to follow up with if they didn't close, because we're all busy. And that's kind of what this is meant to do.
Right. So yeah, to kind of outline this whole system that you have, it is great, because you have your main acquisition channel, which it sounds like that's Google Ads, of course, word of mouth referrals. So someone
Yep.
enters your ecosystem. First, it's House Call Pro, where they can kind of book ahead of time.
Yep.
Then you have this
Booking Buddy.
Booking Buddy, and
Yeah.
that's where you have virtual assistants who are communicating with the leads. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we can book
Okay.
jobs, take leads, follow up, long-term or short-term. So if we want to send a text out or try and book another job a year later, or do outbound campaigns, and that only starts at $14 a week, depending on what they want. So it's
Oh, wow.
highly affordable for any size home service company.
Okay. And to kind of speak on that, because there is a few different
Yeah.
directions where sometimes people will hire someone in-house. Maybe they'll get a virtual assistant that just works for them full time, or they could use one of these third-party services where it's like a call center, or just someone who specifically focuses on messaging. Have you tried some of these other avenues, and how do you kind of like compare them in your opinion?
We've used a lot of virtual assistant companies, probably like 6 or 7 over the years.
Mhm.
And we landed at Sunshine Admin because it's like the most dynamic group of people on the planet. They're like constantly solving problems I didn't know. Like, for example, you have a long conversation with them. They build this huge playbook on a Google Sheet that you can edit, they can edit. It's all live. And the way they do it is they have specific teams for industries. So they'll have a house cleaning team, an HVAC team. So not only is everyone in the company trained on the service, but literally you have people that have basically almost worked for HVAC companies because they do literal trainings on industry stuff outside of the company they're talking to. So they're really great at answering questions, and they end up solving things like, when you have 130 people being billed monthly for $10 a month, like the cards get declined. And there's a Telegram group they set up for you and your employees to do communication. Hey, can you call this person? Yada, yada. And they'll just send a message out and be like, hey, you had 3 card declines for your membership today. I called them and got their cards updated because they got new cards. And they just preemptively did that kind of thing. So me and the owner, Yvonne, were just jiving because we both found something that was perfect. And what we wanted to do is create Booking Buddy, which is basically the same thing with short-term and long-term follow-up as well, and as well as outbound campaigns and things like that, but it's more affordable because someone can be texting multiple people at the same time. You can't be on the phone with multiple people at the same time. So this is like a great avenue where we can take Sunshine Admin, throw it into a less expensive version with on it, ironically, more features. And then we can basically help anyone. Like the perfect person is someone that's 1 to 3 team members, or an owner operator that's just slammed doing work, that can't answer the phone, that can't follow up with customers or book jobs. We can do it all via text. And then if they even want phone calls as well, we can loop in Sunshine and do the whole thing. But it's just a way lower cost for people. And it really brings people's customer acquisition costs down, because now we can make the most of each one of their leads short term, and in long term, we can follow up indefinitely via text message, the thing with a 98% open rate, and basically get them onto other services or to book follow-up appointments long term.
Right. Man, yeah, that's a game changer, having when you can outsource just the whole appointment scheduling side of things. There's a lot of business owners that are still doing it themselves, and if you have the time, like, sure. And in fact, like, it's good because you'll learn what actually converts well and you could train others. But if you have like a team that's their specialty, that's just going to save you so much time and headache.
Yeah, and our whole team only does cleaning, HVAC, electrical, and plumbing for Booking Buddy. We don't take on anything new until we have people highly, highly trained in that. Gotcha. So it's like pretty easy to know that it's not going to be like our problem with other call centers where, like, they didn't know how to answer any questions. You would write it down in a form, but like they don't know what things mean. That is not the case with this. So
awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, you can after we're done recording this, if you want to drop maybe some links below where people could check out the system and browse around, see if it's right. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'll drop the website in. They can book if they're curious, and just no obligation to buy. But if they want to do a demo with me, there's a booking link on our website, bookingbuddy.io, where they can book a time with me to chat about it.
Perfect. Awesome, guys. Well, you heard it from Nate himself. So we're probably going to wrap this up in a second, but if you guys have any questions, I'm going to hop into the group in a second. So just paste them under this video. Any questions you have for Nate, we're going to read those. But before I check those, to kind of, I guess, wrap this up, what's on the menu for the rest of 2022, perhaps next year? Any big plans for the company? Anything new you guys are trying? Systems, marketing related? Anything like that?
For Integrity Clean?
Yes.
I hate to be like, we made it, because that means something different for everyone else. But with Booking Buddy, with Sunshine Admin, with our employee, the way we price things, the way we offer and don't offer things, the way we route our service area, we get a really, really good salary, low 6-figure salary off of this, and it takes about a half hour a week. So I don't really want to add anything, or and mind you, to anyone that's like, oh, that's ridiculous or whatever, like, the first 2 years in business, we took $700 a month, and I probably worked 70 hours a week. We also made mistakes to the tune of over $200,000 in debt. So I think we've earned that position now. But we're not changing anything. It's great. There was a couple ways you could do this. You could grow indefinitely and maybe long term make a lot of money, or there was a passive way to do it where it was niche down, charge a healthy amount, pay your team really well, and make it passive. And that's the route we ended up switching to.
Hey, sounds like a great business from what I've heard. So
thanks, man.
You're right. If there's nothing to change, why change it?
Yeah.
Actually, before I read these comments, one question I had for you, because I know we had previously talked for a little bit. You mentioned something interesting about implementing tokens for your business.
Oh yeah, I do want to do that. I do.
Yeah, can you go over that?
Yeah. Okay. This is like my favorite idea, but it just, because of the membership, it got a little screwed up. So we couldn't do it. If we didn't have the membership, like, it would be so much fun just to like almost started a different business in Texas just to do the tokenized thing because it's like so cool. So I like got on this because I had done like probably like 100 hours or more in research on bulk buy for service or for products, and like the amount of like loss in that where people forget or lose it was like crazy high, like 40%, like huge. It's like, think about how many like $8 Starbucks gift cards you've got like rolling around in
Oh yeah.
drawers and they get lost. I mean, just like a lot, you know, people buy you gift cards to restaurants you don't want to go to, like parents, and it just, we've had a Texas Roadhouse gift card in our drawer for like what feels like a lifetime, and I've never been there. But anyway, um, the tokenized thing, we worked with the manufacturer that were making, they weren't like real gold, but like gold coins. We had a design made, and they were called clean coins. And we ordered some samples, and I've got some in a drawer somewhere. They were going to be like $3 each, but they were like literally like 1.5-inch double-sided integrity clean coins. And what we were going to do is, we actually even had a landing page built out for it. I might be able to find somewhere, but it was basically like you could bulk buy cleanings, and it was like one clean coin was one area of carpet, room, hall, set of stairs. And if you bought one, it was outrageous. It was like $300 for one coin. So if you want a one room of carpet, you could just have us come out there, or you could buy a coin and pay us the coin, $300. You bought two, it was like 500. You bought like 10, it was less and less and less and less. So someone with like a decent amount of money could go spend $2,000 and get, you know, carpet cleaning like $19 a room or whatever. But what it did is it incentivized people, and we did test it. We actually did have some customers that bought them. So they're actually floating around. There's like maybe 30 of them floating around. And so what they did is basically when it came time to pay, you know, they could pay us whatever the rate was, or you could say, you know, if you buy in bulk, you actually save money and you can hang on to this next time you schedule an appointment. You know, even if it's just one room, you can just give us a coin for it, whatever. And then they didn't have to pay $300 for that coin. If they bought 10, it was cheaper. The only downside was like, to start that program, I was trying to go bougie and get like the nicest, most expensive coins. You can do it for like under $1 each, but I was like, you know, I was spending like $3-4 a piece because they were like glorious. They were like heavy, beautiful, like imprinted design. And I was just doing the math, and I was like, man, if we send out one email, like there's a chance we need like 2,000 of these, you know, probably not, but like we have to keep buying them, because as people buy them, they might hang on to them for years. So even if it grew slowly, we might need to spend like $8,000 or $10,000 on these coins, which I really want to do because it's so cool. But with the flat rate, not charging per area, and the membership, that works fantastic too. But it would be really fun to start a new business here or something and do the coin thing, because it like,
Yeah.
for one, it's a way to not be able to compare prices to anyone else. Now someone's like, oh, $300 for the clean for this, but oh, I could prepay a little bit, buy my coins, use them one at a time or 10 at a time, and it's an incomparable. So it would have been really fun to do that, but we didn't end up. We just did a little sample, and ironically, there's 30 or 40 coins out there, and I think only like 4 or 5 have been redeemed. So that's like proof to the
Oh
like
wow.
the loss math, you know. So it's
Yeah.
even more profitable than it sounds.
Right. I mean, gift cards. I don't know what percentage it
Yeah,
is, but there's a lot of people that still have balances on them, because it's like let's say you have a gift card for $50, you might buy something that's like $23.99, and then another thing that's like
yeah,
$6.35, and then you're like, well, shoot, I got like $17. I don't know what to get. So
yeah,
it's like,
yeah. It sits there forever. Yeah,
yeah, awesome,
yeah,
man.
it's true.
Well, hey, we talked about a lot of good stuff. So, definitely just need to kind of let this soak in my mind. I'm sure some of these other people, but I wanted to hop into the group right now, just kind of
Yeah.
see if anybody commented